I want to be respected and I should respect other people. But there was a lack of that. You could see that in the way that young people treated their parents and often the way their attitude towards teachers. And even teachers' attitude towards the principal was often quite critical. So this was an area. Of course, the most difficult part of us is relating to other people. It's not easy for us. We come into this world, we didn't choose to come into the world, but we come into this world and we're not alone. We're with other people and we have to live with other people. We have to get on with other people. We have to help other people. We have to cooperate with other people. So there's a whole, what would you say, attitude there that's very important for us when we are growing up. And it's a question of values. What kind of value do I value somebody else? If I value somebody else, I will be good to that person. I will accept that person. It's a little bit like if you have an old watch which was handed down from generation to generation and now you have it. And of course somebody, young people will say, oh, hotel, you know, it's old, but no, because it's so valuable to this person, no, they treasure it, they hold on to it. So in the same way, we have to hold on to our principles, to our values, because if we let them go, there's confusion. There's a lot of trouble, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. Anyway, we started this institute principally in the beginning for teachers, because we felt that teachers would normally go to the university or to the Institute of Education and not get very much on the background for values. They have their own values and good values, but they have no background to that. And knowing that as a teacher, you're going to influence the values of the students. So it was try to help them to get that. Then we'd also try to do courses for parents, because I feel that parents find it difficult bringing up their child or their children. They're a challenge to them, and very often they spoil them. And of course that leads to selfishness and a lot of difficulties afterwards. So how does a parent understand the growth of a child and help them through the different stages, helping to share with them good values? Because my belief is that every parent wants their child to be educated, but they also want their child to be a good child. So what is this good? What is this good that they want them to have? So anyway, we tried to provide courses for teachers. And then we also started what we call the V show, the value show, asking the schools to create a program bringing out values. And some of the schools have done very wonderful work in performing plays, bringing out the values, which is very good. Anyway, that's the kind of the history of some of the work which we do in this long name, Hong Kong International Institute of Educational Leadership. But main focus is on basic human values. I was just wondering if I could give you this to just have a look at, and maybe very quickly you could write down. Reflecting on your experience, who was the person you liked best and why? What did you admire most in that person? This is reflecting ourselves on our own experience, and what is it that I admired most in somebody? Very often it's a teacher, someone who is has influence or is an important person in my life. Could be, of course, my parents, but it's someone that I admire. And why? Why do I admire that person? Because if I admire that person I see the good values in that person. And very often I want to be like that person. Okay, maybe we share a little bit about your reflection on this. Person I like best and why do I admire, what did I admire in that person? Anyway. Perhaps you share with one another. Share with one another. Perhaps you can share with me some of the ideas that you've got about, for instance, the person you like best and why. It's the why more than anything else. This is trying to help us to reflect on values, to become more aware of the values. So is anyone brave enough to say something?
Can I say something about my grandma? Because she is very hardworking and now she's very old, she's 90 something. And still she likes to help people and then she will grow something and then give the plants and let people to grow and then to the neighbor. And then she also raised up many children like me. I'm one of the grandchildren she raised up. And then because my grandma is so honest and then she, even though she's very old, but she still remember anything. And then when I go something from my friends and then still remind me, oh, you have to return it to others. And it's so
Yeah, wonderful picture of your mother, grandmother. So you can put down, she is hardworking, generous, honest. Would that be any other one? Ready to help, ready to serve.
neighbor and then friends.
Yes, ready
She
to.
has many friends.
Friends, friendship.
It's
That's
nice
good.
to talk.
Nice to talk. Communicator.
Talkative.
Yes, communicator. Very good. Anybody else who are going to say something?
I admire my mother.
Yes.
Yeah, because she's brave. Like whenever and wherever now I grow up, but she still cares much about her daughter.
Sure.
Yeah.
So care.
Yeah.
Care, yes.
I think Mary is selfless, brave love.
Unselfish or selfless, yes. Caring. Yeah. Very
Your
good.
mother?
Yeah. It doesn't matter, I mean, but anyway. Yeah, you can put in one. Anybody else would like to share?
I think I also admire my mother a lot because she's the one who pay effort and time for me for the most of the time. And also, I think my mother has the character of being a domestic woman and also a woman who's very ambitious and she starts her own business. So she's the one who taught me to be self-respect as a girl and also be strong as a boy. Yes.
So, what else? Mother, ambitious,
And also very caring.
caring, yes, caring also, yes. That's right.
She can balance the
Yeah. Challenges you. Yeah, she challenges you to grow. Yeah, yeah. That's right.
I admire my brothers.
Also, yeah. That's great to see you all admiring mothers or grandmothers.
She spends most of her time with me, and I spend most of time with her. And I think she's the one who gave me a foundational concept of how to be a good person.
I also like my mother. Always small, right, and she can share anything
cared for. So anybody else would like to add something to that? But you can see, yes?
I have a quite different answer.
Yes.
I think of my psychology teacher in my secondary school. Yeah, the first adjective that I've put down is caring. Caring, generous, kind, friendly, gentle.
Kind, friendly,
Caring, gentle.
caring.
My teacher.
The teacher, yeah. Actually, sometimes the teacher influences us a lot.
And she's very thankful.
Oh, I see, grateful also.
Thank you.
She's great, thankful. Yeah. That's great. So you can see your memories of someone who has been important in your life has in fact influenced you because there's something you appreciate, something that you value. And all of us are influenced very much. So as teachers, you influence the students whether you realize it or not by your own values because you share with them your own values. But you can see that in general, it could be all summed up in one way in the word love, because love means caring, means unselfish, means giving, it's really something very good. Did anyone think of question 2? What do you honestly value most now in life? Relationship, yeah, very good. Relationship is very important.
And whether the things you are doing are meaningful to you.
Meaningful, yes. And I suppose meaningful means valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Valuable.
Happiness.
Habit. Happiness. Good, yes. Happiness. We all want happiness.
That's true.
We do want happiness. But we don't know where to search for it very often. But we want it. Anybody else? Yeah. Love, of course, yes. Love. Yeah. We really need love. Really need it, especially when we're growing up. We need to be loved because love means I'm valuable. Oh, yeah. Love means I'm valuable. And so, of course, we need to love also, or we need to learn to love. It's not always easy, but we need to learn to love. Any other one? Freedom, yeah. There's a lot of, what should I say? A lot of effort given in the world to this word freedom. I mean, people want freedom. What do they mean by freedom is another question. Freedom, you would think of freedom in the United States very often is freedom to do what you like. But that's not freedom. Freedom is being free to do what you should do, your responsibility. But freedom, a lot of people are looking for that because they're either tightly controlled, like in is it Cambodia? Yes, Cambodia now. At the moment they're going to have an election, but it's very controlled by the military. So there's no freedom. You're not going to get very much out of voting. Yeah, I think we have the other two are important in their own way. I mean, when I'm making a decision, what is it that I value? Very often, some decisions are quite clear. It's right or wrong. Some decisions are quite clear. But there are other decisions I have to reflect. I have to write down if I choose this, is that what the values are in that choice. Then if I choose the other, what are the values in that choice? And then I might see more clearly which is more valuable, especially where there's nothing to do with right and wrong. It's just a question of choice. From your experience, what do you feel the people of Hong Kong in general value? Of course, I suppose everyone values money. There's no doubt about it. Everyone values money. But is that the only value? I don't think so. I think many good people share the care for people. A lot of good people in Hong Kong, really very good people. Same in China. A lot of good people. When you had the earthquake in Sichuan, wow, so many poured out their sympathy and help to the people there. So there's a goodness in us. But then there's also sometimes evil as well. But anyway, in general, I would say that the people in Hong Kong value perhaps money, maybe too much. And so you get this division between the rich and the poor. And I was very happy to see that, what's his name? In the United States is most rich. Bill Gates, yeah, Bill Gates. And that group of people who are super millionaires, that they have decided that they would share their wealth. It's a wonderful thing to see that. And I hope that other countries would follow suit, because in Hong Kong there is an inclination for the few to be rich. And they don't realize that, okay, who made them rich? Partly their own intelligence and effort, but partly through the work of other people. And it often pains me when it comes to a company that has been making a lot of money, and then there's a downturn, and the first thing they do is get rid of the staff, cut down the number of employment. So unfair. I mean, these people have helped them to make this money. Surely they can keep them even part-time, keep them with the company. Show that you care, rather than just thinking of the profits for the shareholders. So it's a problem. Yeah. Okay. I'll just give you this one case, just shortly. You have a look at it. It's a case, an actual case. Clara worked for Maria, the buyer of a gourmet food department. They received a shipment of thin little wafers from England that had cream filling flavored with fruit, strawberries and raspberries. They were packaged in foil-covered boxes, but somehow they had become infested with insects. Perhaps not all of the boxes were infested, because not all of the customers brought them back. But some people did, and obviously they could not continue to sell them. They couldn't inspect the packages and keep the ones that were not infested because there were too many, about £90,000 or dollars worth, and because they would have to tear the foil to open each box. Maria said to the manufacturer that the manufacturer would not give a refund because the infestation doubtless occurred during shipment or even during storage at their own warehouse. Maria told Clara to get rid of them. Clara thought that she meant to arrange to have them taken to the dump, but Maria said, absolutely not. Call YY and KK. They operate down in the new towns and can sell anything. We've got to get our money back. Clara was shocked. Should she follow Maria's instructions? Would it be better if she told YY and KK the truth? What if the goods brought in thousands of complaints? That would be Clara's nightmare. So if you discuss with one another what the problem for Clara, should she agree to do what her boss tells her to do, to go and ring up YY and KK and give them the goods. Okay, maybe you're looking at it from the point of view of values. What are the values involved in this? Ethical values, yeah. Morality. Honesty, definitely honesty. Yeah. Any other one?
Respect.
Sorry, I can't.
Respect.
Respect, yes, of course. You're right, yeah, respect. Sorry, I just, yeah, respect, yeah. That's right, very good.
Also empathy.
Empathy,
We
yes.
should think from the customers.
Think from the customer's point of view, yes, not just from our own selfish point of view, yeah. Any other one? What about truth? Tell the truth. Difficult for Clara. I mean, the boss, maybe she'd lose her job. Is she ready to lose her job? It's not easy sometimes to live your values, to live your principles. And you can see that in the world today. So much deception. I mean, you think of the many instances in China of the milk and so many different things that are not. The question again is trust. If you're doing business with somebody else, you must be able to trust that person, that they will give you what you pay for, honestly, instead of short weight. I mean, there are so many different ways in which corruption can be used. So again, of course, I don't know if Maria, if she realized it, the whole reputation of our company may be lost if they discover that she has done this. So she will lose. So it's very true, honesty is the best policy. And the same is true, you can see when, say, a leader in the different countries, if they make a mistake and do something wrong, if they would just come and say, I'm sorry. I mean, we all can make mistakes, but even to admit that I made a mistake and to ask for it, say I'm sorry, is a big thing to do. It requires some humility to do that. Of course, there's the question of fairness, as somebody mentioned, with the customers, that you have to be fair. So it's bad business. So you can see that that's only just a small little example for you of what's happening in the world. There's so much untruthfulness. It's not true. I mean, what government tells us, very often it's not the whole truth. It's not the truth. And so you have to beware and not be fooled by what they say. You should be able to trust them, but they're in a position of responsibility, but yet they don't perform as responsible people. And so you have, again, the leaders in Africa. All they're concerned is with their own power. They're not concerned really with the people. You can see that in Zimbabwe, where the people, the poverty is terrible now because of this. And the guy has plenty of money, and the people around him are supporting him because they are depending on him for their job and their career. So it's very real, the whole question of values and how each of us live out values. One of the things that I'm very sure of is any good thing that you do, any loving thing that you do, any caring thing that you do increases the amount of goodness in the world. But anything that's evil, what people do, reduces the level. It really reduces the level. And so in today's environment, we are in this mixture. And very often the newspapers will give us a very negative impression of the whole world. I sometimes now I just flick through the newspaper. Why? Because it's all bad news. Really, it's about war, about court cases, about revolution. It's about so many things that are very negative. But that's not the world. The world is made up of many people, many good people. This is a section of the world, but it's not the whole world. So you can see the broadcasters on television. Sometimes the television also, it's concentrating on these kind of things. Just recently, you may have seen on the paper, two heroes, brave people. One, I think, was a fireman who saved a lot of people, and the other was, I don't know whether it was a brother that he gave his liver to another person. That's what I like to see on the paper. That to show that there's a lot of goodness in us, but it's not given on the paper. So you have to be aware of that don't be depressed by all this very negative. There is negative, of course, we're not blind, but there's a lot of goodness in the world as well. So anyway, that's just to give you students love stories. They really love stories. And Chinese literature is full of stories. Isn't that right? What is this lesson from the story? And it's very good. It's a way of teaching, to have a story and to take from that story what you want them to learn. Now, this is something that you can use. It's called The Giving Tree. It's a very beautiful story. Some of you may have come across it already. It's really, and it can be used in different ways. Just to read it. Once there was a tree, and she loved a little boy. And every day the boy would come, and he would gather her leaves and make them into crowns and play king of the forest. He would climb up its trunk and swing from her branches and eat apples, and they would play hide and seek, and when he was tired, he would sleep in her shade. And the boy loved the tree very much, and the tree was happy. But time went by, and the boy grew older, and the tree was often alone. Then one day the boy came to the tree, and the tree said, "Come, boy, come and climb up my trunk and swing from my branches and eat apples and play in my shade and be happy." "I am too big to climb and play," said the boy. "I want to buy things and have fun. I want some money. Can you give me some money?" "I'm sorry," said the tree, "but I've no money. I've only leaves and apples." "Take my apples, boy, and sell them in the city. Then you will have money and you will be happy." And so the boy climbed up the tree and gathered her apples and carried them away, and the tree was happy. But the boy stayed away for a long time, and the tree was sad. And then one day The boy came back, and the tree shook with joy. And she said, "Come, boy, climb up my trunk, swing from my branches, and be happy." "I'm too busy to climb trees," said the boy. "I want a house to keep me warm," he said. "I want a wife, and I want children, and so I need a house. Can you give me a house?" "I've no house," said the tree. "The forest is my house. But you may cut off my branches and build a house. Then you will be happy." So the boy cut off her branches and carried them away and built his house, and the tree was happy. But the boy stayed away for a long time. Then he came back. The tree was so happy she could hardly speak. "Come, boy," she whispered, "come and play." "I'm too old and sad to play," said the boy. "I want a boat that will take me away from here. Can you give me a boat?" "Cut down my trunk and make a boat," said the tree. "Then you can sail away and be happy." And so the boy cut down her trunk and made a boat and sailed away. And the tree was happy, but not really. And after a long time, the boy came back again. "I'm sorry, boy," said the tree, "but I've nothing left to give you. My apples are gone." "My teeth are too weak for apples," said the boy. "My branches are gone. You cannot swing on them." "I'm too old to swing on branches," said the boy. "My trunk is gone," said the tree. "You cannot climb." "I'm too tired to climb," said the boy. "I'm sorry," sighed the tree. "I wish that I could give you something, but I've nothing left. I'm just an old stump. I'm sorry." "I don't need very much now," said the boy. "Just a quiet place to sit and rest. I'm very tired." "Well," said the tree, straightening herself up as much as she could, "well, an old stump is good for sitting and resting. Come, boy, sit down and rest." And the boy did, and the tree was happy. It's a beautiful story. And then you have this picture at the end of him sitting down on the stump of the tree. But you can use this in the way how we grow. You can see I'm sure there's no need for me to point out to you, in the story, the boy was so selfish, always asking, always wanting. And then the tree was so generous, gave him everything that he wanted, everything that he needed. But there was very little gratitude there, very little. And so it's sad in a way that the boy was so selfish. Of course, it can be used again for the environment, about the value of a tree. The tree is so valuable to us. That's another way it can be used. So there are a number of ways that it can be used. At the back of it, you have just a few questions, but you could make up your own questions. What or whom might a tree symbolize to you as you reflectively consider the actions and behavior of the tree? You could think of the tree as a parent, and how in the beginning, as we are very young, we don't think of the goodness of our parents until we grow up to be more mature. We're always asking, "Give me, give me, give me, give me." And then it's not a good thing if the parents are always giving everything that the child wants. That they have to learn to say no to the child sometimes. In your opinion, would you consider the tree as foolish in love? Yes, love can be foolish. And so, at which stage did the boy exploit the tree? How did he do this? Well, by asking for everything he wanted, the apples first, and then the branches, and then the tree itself, the trunk of the tree itself. If you could advise the boy, how would you recommend he should use the gifts of the tree to ensure a better life for all. Anyways, just to give you, you can use it if you wish sometimes. So maybe we'll have a break. We'll just share with you something on basic human values, which you might find helpful. And I have given the notes of this to you so you can check what you found, and it may be useful to you. So you can, of course, write down anything that strikes you, okay, and then perhaps this reinforces it afterwards. So this was a lecture given to the medical doctors, and that's why it's put in the environment. So the environment of Hong Kong is very fast, very busy, very competitive. And this is true. You know this monk who is from Vietnam, who is here at the moment in Hong Kong, giving some workshops and retreats and lectures. He's very famous, but he fits in with the basic human values. He talks about the growth of the human person and the values that are in that growth. So a lot of people are going to hear him or listen to him. So we talk about our human nature in the context that each of us live in a context. We come from a family, we come from a country, we all live in a different context. And we have to live together as people. So this is something that I share with people. Some people have a religion, and so I often share with them this part, because it's a world view. It's looking at the whole world and how we fit into that world. And of course, we say that God is the one who created us. He is a family of love, the Trinity, and He creates. Love creates. Love always wants to give and create. So He has made the human family, but also has made the human world in which we live. Some people call the world a garden. He put us into this wonderful garden where there's everything we need. Everything. Food, water, air, everything we need. We have destroyed it, or a lot of it. But that's the garden He has given us. So the human person is in a human family. We belong to the whole human family. And it's very interesting in this age at the moment, we're beginning to realize that we depend on each other. We can't get on just by myself. No country can get on by themselves. They have to relate to other parts of the world. And so, of course, we want peace among people, because as a family, you would say, and Confucius has said, that we are brothers and sisters. So this huge family that we have. And so if there's something wrong with one area of the family, of course we want to help that part. They are our brothers and sisters. So He made us good, and that's why I was saying that there's a lot of goodness in each of us. A lot of goodness. And of course that goodness is love, really. Because God has poured, if you like, His love into us, and so He wants us to pour out that love again with others. So He has made us good, and He has made us into His own image. But that means is that we are creative. We can think. We can organize. But also we have the ability to love. These are the two things. We are creative. For instance, the wonder of the creative ability of husband and wife to bring a new life into the world, a child. It's just unbelievable. The beauty of creative ability. we don't think of it very often in that way, but it is God sharing his creativity with us. And so we are creative. And then there is this wonder of my being. I don't think we realize how wonderful we are in the coordination of everything in my body. Everything is related. And that my toe can pass a message up to my head. Pain, if I have pain, it will tell me. And so there's something wrong, and so I have to get something done about it. So the coordination of the human body, again, is marvelous. Of course, we don't respect very often our human body. We treat it badly very often. So the wonder of my being, then, as I say, we are creative and loving. Creative, my goodness. When you think of the beauty of the music of some of the creative people who have composed music, beautiful music for our enjoyment. And then architecture, art. I mean, China, so much art, beautiful art. That's creative. That God has shared us this ability to create something new. Something new. And so then he has also given us the freedom to choose. And this is where the danger is for us. This freedom to choose. And so very often we're inclined to choose what is selfish rather than what is unselfish. So this freedom to choose. Of course he gave us this freedom because without freedom you cannot love. No one can force you to love. No one. Love is a personal giving of oneself. No one. And you have that freedom to love. So often I've come across couples who have been part-tall, and as they come towards the decision whether they should get married or not, they have to know each other's background, character, to see if they fit. Sometimes they discover that they're not really suitable for each other. And I know it's hurting to separate, but a short hurt is better than a long life of hurt. Because if you marry someone who you don't really love and respect, it's disaster. So it's something that is very important for us. No one can force us. I remember this medical student, he fell in love with another medical student in Hong Kong U. And after they were going together for a couple of years, again the decision had to be made whether they were going to get married. But she decided no. And the reason she decided no was he was so dependent on his mother that he would drop her. I mean, even an engagement or something that they had arranged to do, he would drop that to go back to what his mother wanted. So he was a mother's child, not her child. I mean, not her companion. So that would interfere very much with their relationship, because if the mother demanded anything of them, he would give it. So the poor girl would be free to love. So nobody can force us. Nobody can force us to love. It's a free giving of oneself. Now, the universe is also something that is wonderful. I mean, when you think of all the discoveries of the universe in the last few years, it's just fantastic. These galaxies out there, and everything is in order. It's just unbelievable. And this little what universe that we live in comparison to this whole total universe that's out there, with all the stars and the galaxies. We're so small. I'm so often thinking of those who landed on the moon when they look back and look down at this little earth on which we live. And then they see people fighting each other for a little bit of the land down there. looks so foolish. So foolish to be fighting over a small piece of land. For what? When the resources of the earth have been given to us to share with one another. The resources are given to us to share. So the universe, this beautiful creation, we were talking about you get a sense of it if you go up on the top of a hill and you see this beautiful view in front of you. You get this sense of beauty. It's God, isn't it? And you thank God for that beauty. So there is also the mystery of nature. Scientists are working for so many thousands of years. They've yet to discover so many things about our nature, about the human body. Even. They're still trying to discover. And so all we need in life has been given to us by God. And they are reflections, if you like, of God's beauty. I often say to the teachers, if you're out on a picnic and you're going along the road and you notice in the grass a flower, call them over and say, look at this beautiful flower. Nobody to admire it. Nobody to see its beauty. To let them see that there is a beauty in nature, because there's so much beauty in nature. The flowers really amaze me. All the different flowers that are available in the market. It's extraordinary. All the shapes, the sizes. The orchids, the orchids are really fantastic. Beautiful orchids. Shapes and colors. Beautiful. Anyway, this is something that I often share with people. I mentioned to you that we have a nature. And every nature has its needs. What it needs to grow to be as perfect as possible. I often give the example of, like, supposing you go to the supermarket and you're interested in botany or in biology and you want to get a plant. And so you go into the shop and you buy a plant. You don't just go in and buy this beautiful plant and bring it home. You want to find out what that plant needs. Does it need water? Much water? Does it need the sunlight? Is it indoor? Outdoor? How much sunshine should it get? Because you want it to grow to be the perfect one. Perfect. The same with us. We have a nature. What is it that we need to grow to be perfect? Of course, one of the things we need is love and to be cared for, which you mentioned in the beginning, and supported and helped. Of course, we get that in the family. We belong. We're safe in the family. We have someplace to go home. I remember one orphan girl, when talking to her, she said at the end of school, she often felt sad because the other girls would say, I'm going home. And she would never say, I'm going home. Because she didn't have her parents. So this family is part of the unit of society. And it's under attack at the moment from all kinds of directions. But the whole stability of society depends on the family, where we can grow up according to our nature, being loved and cared for, and looked after, clothed, educated. This is what we need to grow. So that's where our security is. Of course we need food, drink, exercise. So health, something that each of us want to look after. We want to look after our health because so much depends on that, on my mood, on my abilities, is if I have good health. And so that's part of our concern, it's part of our need. To work, yes, all of us want to work. I think the most devastating thing in society at the moment is unemployment. terribly depressing, very depressing, to have nothing to do. That's why, as I say, when some big companies who are concentrating on their profits and their bonuses forget about the ordinary people, and so they're often out of work so that they can save money. But so, anyway, work is something, because work, it's through my work that I, what shall I say, exercise the values or the gifts that I have. It's very beautiful in some of the VET schools where you see kids who are not so good on the intellectual side, but are very good with their hands, and carving, art, music, you know, a whole lot of other abilities that they have. So, to be respected, all of us need to be respected. I don't want to be looked down on. I want to be respected, valued, justly treated. That's something that's very important in the world today, to be justly treated, and some people not very justly treated. We need to love and share with others. You probably know as children, we are, if you like, more self-centered until as we grow up, and we are very dependent when we beg from our parents whatever we want. But then it comes to a stage, perhaps it begins at school, where we're asked to share with the others. That's the beginning of us beginning to be aware to give. And then that develops. And you can see, as I said, in Hong Kong, many rich people have given so much. Some of them have built a lot of schools in China, in very poor areas. And some have gone there to help on different occasions when there's disaster. And of course we need peace and freedom. Yes. So if we don't get those things that we need, we suffer. We suffer. And so you can see this struggle that's there for justice, for human rights. We struggle for work, for equality, for better distribution of wealth and resources, and for health care. So, as I say, if the plant doesn't get what is needed for its nature, it will suffer. It will wither, or the flower on it won't develop into a beautiful flower. So the same with our nature. We don't get what is needed for our nature, then, as I say, we suffer. And I would say a lot of the suffering in the world is coming from us. It's coming from us because we don't respect. Like if you take Iraq at the moment, where somebody comes with a vest of explosives, and he comes into a crowded place and blows himself up and kills many other people. Why? I just can't understand it. Better comes along with the bomb, and he just throws the bomb into a cafe, blows up all the people. So you can see there is this lack of respect for the person, lack of respect for the human person. It's so important. And you can see that in the medical world, where there is beginning to be a lack of respect for the human person in the way they're experimenting. It's difficult, but they are trying to be God, trying to manipulate so that they get what they think they want. Some people suffer, of course, but when you consider the whole human race and the good of the whole human race, perhaps it is valuable to suffer. Values and behavior. We act according to our values. And as I mentioned to you before, our behavior, the way we act, the way we treat others in particular, show our values, whether we care or not. whether we are unselfish or not. These are what I call the two foundational values, two of the values that all the others, if you like, come under these two. One is this respect. If I have respect, it belongs to my inner attitude, this respect. And of course, with that comes honesty. If I respect someone, I won't be dishonest with them. Fairness, I would be fair to them. Tolerant, yes. Prudent. Self-discipline. Self-discipline. Oh my goodness. The only real discipline is self-discipline. And we have to learn that. It's not easy. To be self-disciplined is not easy. And you can see in school, beginning to learn, and that's of course at home when the parents refuse a child something the child wants, that's self-discipline. The child doesn't get what they want. That's a good experience for them. But then in school, the rules that, for instance, that the children must be quiet going from the classroom to PE lesson. Of course they want to talk and want to play and shout and enjoy themselves, but they have to go there quietly. That's self-discipline. So it's something that we get into the habit of. We're trained, if you like, in self-discipline. And it's so important in the rest of our life. Like, for instance, you can see some people who can't refuse food. Because when the food is there, they eat and eat and eat, and of course they have put on a lot of weight. That's self-discipline. If I take that, I would get fat. So I have to say no. Self-discipline, if I'm at a table with other people and we're sharing food together, there's one dish I really love. I'd love to take it all. But I don't. I let other people also share. That's self-discipline. That's self-discipline. So it's something very necessary in us in our relationship with others, especially our relationship of friendship, self-discipline. It's very important in our relationship with each other. Then the responsibility is towards others. This is inner. It's an inner attitude in us. But this is looking out towards others. Responsibility. I'm helpful, I'm compassionate, I'm cooperative, I forgive, I see the good in others, I'm concerned about the social condition of the society in which I live. It's outward, you can see that. It's going out towards others. It's again, this is love going out towards others. Compassion. Forgiveness is probably the most difficult one. If somebody hurts us, how to forgive? Difficult. And their experience and their feelings about what had happened. And so in that sense, they gradually begin to accept each other. But it is very difficult to forgive. We often find it that we don't forget, but we will forgive. Yes. So to see the good in others. This again is important as a teacher, that no child is perfect. Every child has limitations. But as I say, every child has goodness. Every child has ability. The thing is trying to get them to use that ability to grow. But there's a good in every child. I remember one time parents, two of them, father and mother, came to me here, and they brought their little boy. And after talking to them for a while, then they pointed to the boy and said, "Hey, San Fu,佢咁曳嘅，佢唔勤力讀書，佢好難躲." How do you think the child was? Trying to disappear. I often say, we are the mirror to them. We tell them what we see in them. whether we see them as someone valuable or whether we see them as someone, okay, there are lots of ways in which you still have to grow, but there's a lot of good there. So when an exercise comes to me which is not very well done, I would say to the student, yes, I know you have tried. I know you've tried. And you can do it better. You're being positive. You can do it better. Let them see that you have this image of them, that they are capable, that they can do better. And so they're more motivated then. It's a little bit like us. If somebody, if we're doing a job and someone comes along and says, oh, well done, that was marvelous, you did a great job. You're so happy. You're so happy. And you want to do it well the next time. It's very human, very human. To be recognized and the values that are there. So we begin with this respect, and of course respect beginning with God as our Father, and of course it would be very strange if we neglect our Father and don't talk to Him, and so we have this communication with Him through, of course, prayer. And then He's our Creator, somebody who has loved us, and so we listen to Him. He is a Father who is concerned about us all the time, never gives up, never gives up. And then self, respect for self, because I am a gift of God. And so I'm cared for, I'm loved, and I have gifts and abilities. Everyone has. So yes. Then for others, the respect for others is to love and appreciate them, care for them, not to cheat or rob or kill or abuse them. That's respect. As you can see, there's a great loss of that respect in the world today. And then for the environment, which God has given us as a gift, this garden, air, water, trees, flowers, plants, and animals. So we don't waste or cause pollution like the ozone layer, and the climate changes are caused by the way we have treated nature, cutting down the trees. A lot of the disaster in Indonesia is because they've cut down a lot of the trees for charcoal, and so there's nothing to hold up the earth from slipping down. So we are really responsible for a lot of the disasters in the world. Responsible then means committed. I'm dependable, I'm trustworthy, socially committed, respecting others' rights. I often share this with people. One time there was an association asked me if our choir could sing at their celebration. So I asked the choir master and asked the choir. So they said yes, they would agree. So anyway, I went to this celebration, and then the MC went up on the stage and announced that the next item would be YN School Choir. So I sat there. The next thing was I saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Where'd the rest? So they went up and sang. I was very ashamed. The next day I told them, if you join and agree to sing, that's a commitment. And I know that that day was a school holiday, so of course it meant giving up something themselves by going to this, to perform this concert. But it was a real lack of responsibility. If they join something, they commit themselves to something. Don't join so many if you're not going to be committed. And if you join something, be on time. Don't keep them all waiting. You know, it's something that is part of our responsibility. So the basic human nature doesn't change, and this is an interesting part because often you will see that human values change. They don't. But because your nature doesn't change. Your nature still requires honesty, responsibility, respect, always. The environment in which we live changes, yes. Therefore, basic human values do not change. They're always true. So it's always right to love, to respect others, to be honest, to be truthful, to be fair and just, to be compassionate, to forgive. That's always right, no matter what changes. It's always wrong to hate, to despise others, to kill innocent people, to injure other people, to steal, to be corrupt, to take revenge, to use violence, to be selfish. Always wrong. So those are basic values that we have to be very clear about. Even though, as I say, there are situations in this modern world with all the changes in our environment which challenge us to decide whether it is right or wrong. That's true. That's true. And some are very difficult, especially in medical ethics. Very difficult. So we're free to choose, but the laws of nature remain whether we follow them or not. They're still there, whether you follow them or not. They won't change. So the rights and duties then follow from this natural law, this natural needs that we have. And so probably the life is living by relationships, and that's true. So much of our happiness depends on our relationships with other people. This is the relationship with God. As I said, we are His children. He loves us, cares for us, gives us all we need. We should respect Him, listen to Him, obey Him, talk to Him, ask His help, guidance, and protection. So religion really is living out this relationship. My self-image. I am valuable. I am loved. I respect myself. I care for my health, my gifts and my abilities to use in service. That's why I've been given these gifts and abilities. It's not just for myself. It's to share. Make others happy. And it's true. When you give to someone in need, they're happy and you're happy. I remember we had what we call a poor boys club here in YN, and the students of Form 6 mainly were the club leaders, and the kids came from Yamade, and they were very poor, and so they taught them cooking, gave them lessons, gave them activities, and so the kids enjoyed it. But it's very interesting. The boys themselves were happy because they made the kids happy. That's very true. That's very true. Very true. So our relationship with others, our family, relatives, friends, and then the wider human family, how do we treat them? With love and respect, with no discrimination or injustice. And then the environment, enjoy and respect the wonders of nature. Do we waste or pollute our environment? Man's greed to possess more, there's no doubt about it. The greed is in us. And you can see that in all these big bankers where they were able to get these huge bonuses at a time when the government was giving them money to try to prevent them falling into debt. The greed, terrible disease. Of course, the result is famine, drought, disease, pollution. The golden rule, do unto others what you would wish them to do to you. That's really the rule that is true of all religions. Very interesting. I don't think it's in this one, but I made a list of all the religions: Buddhism, Taoism, Judaism, Christianity. All of them have this rule. expressed in perhaps different words, but all of them are the same root. Do unto others and wish them to do to you. It's a very good principle to hold on to. It's a simple principle. Okay, maybe we leave you with that. I give you these, it's a kind of a summary of thank you. So you can see, well, the first page is just giving you the introduction. Then you can see this world view, and then human nature's needs on page 3. Then page 4, you have the 2 foundational moral values, respect and responsibility. And then the 3 aspects of respect, or 4 if you like. One is respect for God, respect for self, respect for others, and respect for the environment. And then so we must care and share with others. The world has been given us to share. It's not just to be possessed by one person. And then there is this laws of nature, that my nature is like that. There are certain needs I have if I want to grow to be a good person, to be a happy person. I have needs. And of course you can see that love and respect and responsibility. And then, as I mentioned to you, these needs are always there. They will never change. It's always right to love and respect, and always wrong to kill. And then you have the rights and duties. It's very interesting. You won't hear very much about the 10 Commandments. I'm sure you might have heard them sometime, about the 10 Commandments. And often they are looked upon as limitations on us. I think perhaps you can see it fitting in with the human values. God, if you like, gave these commandments to Moses as a father would, and telling him, don't do that, it's dangerous, don't go there, you will be hurt. And so you have the first 3 are concerned with our relationship with God, but the rest of them are saying, don't tell lies, don't steal, don't harm other people. It's like a parent telling a child, don't go near the hot press, you will burn yourself. Of course, the positive side of that is that wonderful document. I hope you have a look at it sometime. It's called the Universal Declaration on Human Rights. Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The UN Declaration of Human Rights. It's a wonderful document. And it speaks about the right of the child, the right to education, the right to a home, the right to freedom, all the rights that we have, which are not kept, even though they're signed by the different governments of the world. I don't think they all follow them. So, and then as I say, the summary of it is, do unto others that you would wish them to do unto you. We'll stop here, and perhaps what I would like you to do is, something has struck you. It can be different things during what I've shared with you. So perhaps if you share those things that you think has touched you in some way, and you see what it will be different with different people. Perhaps we can share some of the good things that you have found, hopefully.
In traditional class, we usually discuss something about the theories, and then we got some activities. But this course gave me some special views of education because I can provide some activities to students at first, and then the students can come up with the concepts or the theories by themselves instead of telling them all the things and then they just write down and memorize everything. Yeah.
Yeah, we like the choice of the story. I mean,
Oh, yes.
the right choice of the right materials can be very helpful to explain those series or let them experience those things.
It's a help to them reflecting on the values, of course.
Thank you for giving us a very interesting lecture. And the first important thing I think, you said the person you need to do something or you not to do something is the traditional original items you just to do. And I just want to think about the freedom. I don't know the freedom meaning. What's the freedom meaning? If a person born to the world, she just do that is the right, and it's wrong to do less thing. You put in the materials that is worse. It's worse to do. So, if a person in a group, and what is the truth and what is the worst, the person don't have the choice to decide. So can you explain more the freedom amount the truth and the worst? Thank you.
You're looking for the truth in history, the truth in geography, the truth in chemistry, the truth in physics. You're looking for the truth all the time. We're always searching for the truth. And that's what unifies all the topics or all the different subjects that you learn and we learn at school. It's this search for the truth. Biology, you're looking for the truth about plants and animals and about ourselves. And it goes on and on. It's never ending. So it's, as we say, lifelong learning. You're learning all the time through life. But probably the most important area is relationships. Being able to relate to one another. It's so much depends on that, on our ability to accept other people as different, that we don't know everything, and a teacher should say, no, I don't know, I'm sorry, I don't know that, but I will look up the answer for you. He doesn't have to say, I know everything. I don't. No scientist knows everything. Nobody knows everything. So we have to be humbly admit that I'm limited in my intelligence, what I know, and what I can do. All are limited. But I have ability to go on learning, to go on discovering. That's why they say that every student has ability. There's some ability, but trying to discover where that ability is. Usually in school, when the kid begins in kindergarten and then primary and secondary, often the student is trying to find out what I'm good at. And he tries to play table tennis. And he suddenly discovers he's quite good at table tennis. Then he gets confidence. And then he starts to really play. Swimming, music, all the same. You have to give him experience of different things for him to find the one or two that he is best at. And not everyone is best at just the intellectual. I often think of the education that we receive in schools. The concentration is on the intellectual and the physical. You're trying to learn more knowledge, more knowledge, more knowledge. It's vast knowledge, vast knowledge. But the concentration is on knowing. And also on the physical, the activity, your bodily development and activity, your health. but very little concentration is given to the spiritual. And what I mean is everyone is spiritual, namely, everyone can love. Everyone, without exception, can love. But where is that education in love? It's absent. You're not told in school how to relate to people. Because love is spiritual. It's not something tangible. It's not something I can measure. I can't go into a shop and buy a half ounce of love. I can't. Love is something very personal, very personal. But it's part of this relationship with one another all over the world. It's not just ourselves, but with everyone, and our concern for everyone. But that's lacking. That's lacking. Even in places where you have, like in the States, I'm trying to think of the two big universities. Harvard, yes, Harvard, for instance. Harvard was famous for its business school. Famous. But when you think of what were they teaching them, they were teaching them how to make profit. That's all that mattered. Make profit, make profit, make profit. No concern about their corporate responsibility for other people. It's out. That's what I mean. It's absent. That love, this relationship, which brings us together, because we come together if we love one another. But that's gone. It's not included in our education, which is very sad, because it makes us so unhappy when my relationship is unhappy. I'm very unhappy when somebody hurts me, or I don't like somebody. So yeah, but what you bring out is very good. Yeah, very good. Anybody else would like to share?
Just the classmate mentioned freedom, and I also think about law and values, because in this society, we can see crime and drug abuse increase fast, and many people think that law is the good tool to control people's behavior. But maybe I think values, good values, are the better discipline to suggest people to have good behaviors, and I think what you mentioned is very common, basic human values, and this not just for religion, and is some common sense for all human. And I think all people, maybe they will reflect their experience to think more about that. And I think it's including young peoples, because this society change fast, but we don't think about the basic things. Yeah.
Yes, very good. This course, and you will follow up tomorrow, you start something on conscience, and then there's sex, love, and marriage, which again is about relationships, and then raising good children, and then traditional Chinese values, because in every culture has good values. Every culture has good values. So you have to discover the good values in your own culture, because that's part of you. That's part of you. You have to hold on to those good values. Of course, Confucius is responsible for a lot of the moral teaching in China. And then we have something on business ethics, something on Declaration of Human Rights, and something on resilience. I have a copy of this Declaration of Human Rights, and it's very interesting, very interesting. Sorry. Everyone has the right to life, liberty, and security. Everyone has the right to recognition everywhere as a person before the law. Everyone has the right to own property alone as well as in association with others. Everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. There's something on work, on labor. Yes, everyone has the right to work, to free choice of employment, to just and favorable conditions of work, and to protection against unemployment. So you think in Hong Kong recently they have this minimum wage discussion. Of course all the businessmen don't want the minimum wage. They want to pay low wages. And so they're against it. And so the people in the law, in the Legislative Council, they're not poor people, they're rich people, and they want to protect it. And so they were very slow in giving this basic right to people who work, that you should have a fair wage. So anyway, this is very important. The other thing that you mentioned about law and freedom is very, what would you say, interesting because I'll just give you an example. Here in Wai'an, the parents were complaining about the freedom of the students. They had too much freedom. So I tried to explain to them that a person won't be responsible until you give them freedom. And so you're training the person to make choices, mature choices, even when he's at school. So, of course, that freedom is limited within the school. There are certain rules. And I always feel that when a school has rules, they must be for the good of the school. If give you an example, the teachers, for instance, some schools have clock in. You have to clock in. Never here. Now that's a freedom. But I expect these are adults, grown-up people, that they are responsible. Of course not everyone is going to be responsible. But that's my business. If I see that a teacher comes late every day and can never take substitute class in the first class, then I will talk to him and say to him, look, I'm sorry, this is not fair to the rest of your colleagues, that you are allowed to come at any time you want in the morning. So that's it, but I don't make a law. That kind of law made for one outbreak or wrong action of someone is bad law. You're restricting the responsibility of other people's freedom. So law and freedom is very, it's very, what do you say? Of course there are laws in Hong Kong that you travel on the left-hand side of the road if you're driving. These are for the good of society, so that people are safe. So no one will object to that. So whatever is good, then you can make it a law. I mention it in those notes. I was doing some research on tribes, ancient tribes, and what kind of law did they follow. And it was very interesting. In a tribe in Indonesia, after being with them and trying to discover what kind of law they followed, it was very interesting. I can remember some of them. One is, within the tribe, no one steals. Within the tribe, no one kills. Within the tribe, what was the third one? No one tells lies, something like that. So they discovered that their human nature needed this law so that they could be peaceful. But of course, outside the tribe they could kill. But within the tribe, if you lived in a family to have peace, then you don't kill, you don't tell lies, and so you don't steal. I was often thinking, if the whole world one day said, none of us will steal, what would happen? Everyone decided no one would steal. Yes, the number of policemen would be less. the number in jail would be less, isn't that right? The number of locks and keys, you could throw them away. Everyone carries keys. Why? We don't trust each other. You cannot. But it's good for our nature. So there must be some trust. You trust the taxi man to drive you safely. You trust the bus driver to get you there. You know, there must be some trust in society among us. But that's an interesting question about law and freedom. It's a wonderful balance between. Yes, there's a tension between law and freedom. But there can be unjust laws, I mean, made by the state, very unjust. Like in Cambodia, or Myanmar, in Burma, the laws being made there is just to control power. Any other? Is there any question that came across your mind that you would like to ask? I'm not guaranteeing I can answer all your questions, but anyway, just if there's any question that you would like to ask. Yes?
Do we need a moral lesson for the student? Because as a student, I think this is a very good lesson for me. Because you remind me what value is. And then we have to, all the days we have to remind ourselves we have the value in our life, and then we have to follow it. Like now, the recent education, we put our focus on the education because we have to come before the examination. But I think because as I remember, in my primary school, I don't have a moral lesson, but the teacher will teach me some moral value, some ethic value. But do we need a moral lesson?
Good question. I suppose the answer is to have both, that there should be some moral lesson. But values are taught in every subject, in fact. Like, for instance, you in physics, you talk about atomic energy. You could ask them, is it right to use atomic energy to destroy people? You know, it's how you use the material that you have. You can bring in values. And of course, as a teacher, you are sharing your values. I mean, even unconsciously, you're sharing your values. That you're kind, that you care, that, you know, these are values that they see in you. So, but a lot depends on the kind of school environment. What are the values that the school promotes? What is its vision? What is its what is its spirit? What is the spirit of the school? Like, for instance, I give you an example, like you have a PE teacher, and certainly this is true years ago, that the students were divided into age levels. If you're a certain age, up to a certain age, then you were in the primary competitions, and up for that another one, and the seniors above that. Now, a school was famous for their athletics or football. And so, of course, the PE master was very anxious to win. But on his team, he brought in older students into a lower category so that they could win. It's a very bad example. And because all the others on the team knew that these were over age. That's what I mean. The school teaches values as well. So what does the school value? Does it value honesty? I think in modern Hong Kong, there's a lot of stealing. And students stealing mobile phones. How does the school deal with that? Stealing is, even I'm in Ritchie Hall, the residence of Hong Kong U, and there are 120 students there. But sometimes I hear about stealing. One of the students came back, he was the chairman or treasurer of the Geography Hong Kong U Society, and they had collected funds, and he brought it back into his room. And so he left it there, and then he went to the washroom, and he came back, it was gone. So how can you trust people? When that happens, it makes me so uncomfortable, because it means you cannot trust one another. So that's what I mean. There is a culture in the school, there is values in the subject you teach. Even in English, if you're teaching anything in literature, it's full of it. Full of many things. You question them. What do you think? Would you do that? Yeah.
In my idea, my group is, yes, I come from literature, and we do have the moral values.
Yes.
And in primary and secondary school.
Yes.
But we consider this kind of lesson is most boring in my peers.
Yes.
So, just like you said, you can put the right values through different classes. That's okay.
Yeah.
Not need for a special.
No need for a special, but then sometimes a topic comes up which is topical, and people are talking about it. Now that might be an occasion when you have, what do they call it? When you have class with the form mistress as class, or as a class just with their form. I forget now what the name. They have a special name for that class. But it's a time when the form mistress can share with them whatever she likes. I forget. Yeah. But anyway, within each school is a bit different, and you kind of use whatever opportunities you have within the limits that you have. Yeah, I think so. That's the only way you can promote the values. It's nearly coming to a time. Of course, I haven't given you very much. I've given you a little, but I hope that you continue your interest in values. And so I share with you three things. One is on character, a person of character. It's repetition, something that we've gone through the evening, and all the best. We'll see you again sometime.